Hey guys. So, I have been thinking about doing like a vlog type thing, um, but I never really had the courage to do it, and it seems like I have a little bit of support, so I'm going to go for it. Um, I've been kind of looking at the news today, and I've been seeing a few things that I wanted to address. Number one, I think I have it figured out. I don't think I'm the one that figured it out originally, but I think I've got it. I think we need to talk about ethnocentrism. Now, ethnocentrism is, for those of you that don't know, it's the idea of judging another society by our own values and cultures. And it's actually only really ever gotten us into trouble. All of the arguments about religion, all of the arguments about same-sex marriage, all of the arguments about the war on drugs, the war on terror, war in general, corporate policies, social control, all these things are based on ethnocentrism. And to put it in basic terms, it's the idea of what's good for the goose is good for the gander, to use the antiquated parlance of my ancestors. Um, and so I kind of wanted to get some feedback from folks. So if you folks want to leave comments and talk about that, that'd be fantastic. But specifically, what I want to talk about is the increased violence in Iraq, and also sort of like the university sexual assault cases that haven't been getting taken care of. And I think that both those things are really based on ethnocentrism. Um, because with the thing in Iraq, we're kind of taking the voice of the victim away. We're kind of creating this idea like everyone in Iraq is a victim, and we really need to rescue them. But when you do that, and the way that it actually ties into some of the attitudes about the sexual assault cases, um, we operate in a patriarchy, and it's something that we fight. But we operate in a society that is dominated by male control. And in Iraq, it's a similar situation. It is a patriarchy to a greater extent than it is in America, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Um, Specifically with the situation in America, we have a lot of men saying, "Oh, we're going to fix these situations. We're going to change these policies. We're going to alter the way that we deal with these cases." And we're sort of just supposed to be all right with that. You know, that idea that when politicians have told us that they'll make a plan to make a plan, we should trust them. Um, and to ignore some of the more blatant cases where that violates the very idea, like Watergate or any of the other various political scandals. Uh, we need more, but we don't need men. Um, when you're talking about men assaulting women in many of these recent cases, men assaulting women in groups, one of the more cowardly ways to go about vying for power. Um, so I'm kind of here to make a blatant message to men, to my fellow man, to my brothers. Um, we need to check one another, and we need to check one another judiciously. If you have a friend, if you have a dude that you just met, or you've got a guy that you've been friends with your entire childhood and you guys go way back, um, sexual assault doesn't prove power. You're not manly for assaulting a woman. Um, I consider myself a real man, and I'm pretty cool with that idea of consent because force isn't authority, it's power, and power without authority is worthless. Any a gun-toting 9-year-old could knock over a 7-Eleven. That doesn't mean he's powerful or authoritative. Rather, it means that he had power in that moment. Now, once they catch him and he goes to a judicial system, he's going to find out what authority looks like. Now, we need to start doing this early. We can't keep taking these guys that have already offended and then tell them, "Hey, you made a mistake. That was a boo-boo. Okay? You're a grown-ass man. Okay? We're not going to coddle you. You should not be walked through this. You should not be given, any sort of amnesty in this. You need to be responsible." So, men, we need to stop trying to write policy that governs the way that women protect themselves, or rape laws, or anything of the nature that has to do with women. We currently have a government that is predominantly men. And we are somewhere next to the Sudan in the saturation of how our government is separated into men and women. We don't have a fair amount. A fair amount would be about 30%, and we can't even hit that. So the truth is that, you know, as men, we've been raised into a situation where we feel the need to constantly fix and repair and mend and make things work, because if they're broken, we've been taught that we have to fix them. Now, it's not that our intentions aren't good, it's that it's not our business. It's, you know, it's the same with birth control laws. It's the same with abortion laws. Men shouldn't be writing them. We have no business writing them, because that's essentially taking it to like a sex differentiation level. It's kind of being ethnocentric within our sex to say that what's right for us will be right for women. I have no idea what's right for women. I know that I want women to have dignity, and I want them to have respect, and I don't want them to have to walk down the street living in fear of being attacked. I don't want to have to explain to my daughter why she needs to watch her drink when she goes to a party, and why she needs to pour her own, and why she needs to see the bartenders pouring it, and why she needs to be careful, and why she needs to have a friend. I shouldn't have to explain to my daughter why she lives in a predatory society. You know, I shouldn't have to explain to my son why, you know, he's always got to be very, very careful about his experiences with the opposite sex or with the same sex, whatever his preference may be, because of how prevalent it can be that people will feel that they were forced into it, and how important consent is. So really, men, when it comes to these rape cases, we need to back off. We've got a lot of really intelligent, really powerful, really assertive women that could do a lot of good. We've got our Elizabeth Warrens, we've got our Hillary Clintons, we've got women that have ideas about safe and effective birth control, and even things that go outside the realm of women. And that's another thing we have to consider. Women in Congress are not just there to see to the needs of women. They are fully capable and skilled, just as men are, in coming up with ideas that benefit the masses. So I think it's something we need to accept. And as men, that's kind of our role. And with women, we just need to let them take over for that type of thing. You know, I don't think that any man should be on any board that governs birth control for women. I don't think that any man should be on the board of any committee that is chaired in the interest of, you know, birth control for women, or, you know, access to abortion. Any reproductive rights things that have to do with a woman's body, we shouldn't be a part of it. We have nothing to contribute, really. In the grand scheme. I know we don't get to be the hero there, and that kind of sucks, because we've been raised with that mentality where we have to, you know, sort of be that valiant knight riding in on a shining steed. Well, that's Disney. That's not reality. And with the violence in Iraq, if you'll notice, and if you'll do some research, there are a lot of really intelligent people that have already been fighting this patriarchal system in Iraq. There have been a lot of activist movements in Iraq. There are a lot of movements run by women that are challenging the patriarchy in Iraq. So, you know, we clearly don't need to go back, and they can kind of, you know, do for themselves. Everyone was kind of fuzzy why we ever went over there in the first place, and I'm not really going to get into that, but I'd kind of like to see what people think about that. Because I would challenge anyone who suggested that we need to become re-involved with that situation because it's gotten out of control. And I would challenge you to think about that and kind of challenge your own inherent ethnocentrism by asking yourself how you would feel if you had a problem in your house and your neighbor came over to take over, to dictate how that situation was going to be resolved, simply because they felt that you weren't in the best place to make that decision. I would love it if people would leave comments and sort of get a running dialogue going in the comments section so we can continue this conversation. This is my first video. Feel free to give me tips. The software and everything, that's not really going to improve. because I'm a baller on a budget. But all right, this is Mike Shank. I'll talk to you later.